Yeah, I just never really trusted the people that had all the answers, you know. I trusted the folks that always had the questions.
Perhaps that's why Drew and I have been friends for so long, because I tend to have more questions for him than I have answers. Drew, like many others in the avalanche world, has worn many hats. It started with the U.S. Navy as an officer, which led to his first retirement from government service. At that point, he started working mountaineering courses for Outward Bound in the National Outdoor Leadership School in Colorado, Wyoming, and Alaska. During the winters, he spent time ski patrolling for Sundance Ski Area. In 1999, he started with the Utah Avalanche Forecast Center as a forecaster and has been there ever since. Around that time, he also started as a Jenny Lake climbing ranger in Grand Teton National Park and has helped many, many, many people over the years. So without further ado, here's Drew's thoughts.
This may seem a bit out of left field, but one habit, one ritual that I have carried on for probably getting on towards 20 years now is nothing that you'll find in a textbook or in really any part of your continuing education. And that habit that I maintain is to carry with me in the backcountry and in the mountains some sort of charm. And what I mean by that is, you know, something like this, which is a piece of the bark of this, what we call the medicine tree in the Wasatch. And it's a multiple 100-year-old Engelmann spruce down at the bottom of Hagen Fork as it feeds into Little Cottonwood Canyon. And this is probably 250 feet high, this Engelmann spruce, with no branches on the bottom 40 feet of it, just hammered by avalanches over the many years. Um, and I either carry this on my avalanche transceiver or in my notebook. And the intentionality of it is to have something that is intentional as a reminder of what's at stake when we head into the mountains, and this idea of who actually assumes the risk. And it's just not me as I'm traveling out in the mountains or in the alpine or in avalanche terrain, but who else among us in the community and the families and friends, who else assumes the risk, and for whom do I ski and travel in the mountains for? And the second part of that is a reminder, you know, this charm. I mean, it could be like a lucky rabbit's foot, but this, what I carry this for as well is a reminder that there is so much uncertainty and risk inherent in mountain travel, and as a reminder of that, to be able to set appropriate margins for where I'm headed. And the last bit I'd say is that um, is to really take that decision making to a stop or a pause, and as I would say, to move from instinct to intention as far as my decision making goes. And again, you'll never find that in some textbook, but to have some charm or lucky rabbit's foot or just something. I mean, a friend of mine has photos of his daughter on the tips of his skis is just is a reminder of being sort of being present with our decisions in often unforgiving terrain.
You've been a big part of my education over the years and pointing me in different directions and different things to read, and certainly some of your writing. But what do you yourself, how have you kept up with your learning?
Well, certainly. I mean, if you go to the nuts and bolts of things, one thing I have continually aspired towards was to continue to improve my mountain weather forecasting, and you know, just from a nuts and bolts side of things. And you know, certainly our forecasting office is co-located with the National Weather Service and having lots of guidance there, but actually enrolling in and taking courses at the University of Utah, as well as some courses with AAI and Woody. up out of Jackson, and that's really fundamental to avalanche forecasting. But I think, I mean, to me, the old joke about, the room full of experts, how do you know who's the false master? They'll tell you. To me, what that gets at is thinking about over my career as an avalanche professional, I observed some avalanche experts that would never ask any questions. And I never really understood that. And, for me, Don, I find it so important. If I'm seeing something unusual, if I'm going into new terrain, is to make a lot of phone calls and to start asking a lot of questions and picking a lot of brains out there, because just by gathering all these different insights or perspectives, the 30-year veteran can learn from the first-year avalanche professional. Maybe they have seen something. And so just by bringing everyone up to the same level and just by asking lots of questions, you can learn a lot that way. It's sort of a continued learning process. I agree with you.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of people out there on the proverbial speed dial for me. And it's nice being able to bounce ideas and thoughts off people. And it's especially humbling, but really valuable when they say you're totally wrong.
Yeah, totally. I mean, but sort of getting back at that, Don, I just remember like cutting my teeth and observing a few folks that just were never asking any questions, and I just never understood that. I guess I just never really trusted the people that had all the answers, I trusted the folks that always had the questions.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Great. Along those lines, can you think of someone you've mentored over your career who's taken the reins and made strong contributions on their own, and maybe some thoughts on what made that relationship so successful or so special to you?
Well, the old hiring adage, right, is like hire people better than you and get out of the way. And I mean, the mentoring, there are just so many different colors and flavors of that. And I mean, for me, I've mentioned over the years that Kimbrough was a strong mentor of mine, and we spent very little time in the mountains. Mostly it was just sort of sitting over tea or coffee and just sort of talking about the world as it is, or what roles we play in our communities. I was very surprised and pleased that a number of people within the AAA had identified me as a mentor. When Len had gone through and asked people about that. The Wendy Wagners of the world, the Ian Havlicks of the world. I mean, it's just like you identify people that have the right stuff, as it were, or that curiosity, that give a shit, about snow, and are always just intrigued with the natural world in that way. And in that way, the two-way street is that I tend now to look to them for, what's your take on this? Or maybe, Wendy, help me out with looking at a way to problem solve for that. It's just a really wonderful two-way street in that way.
Do you feel like you've taken some chances in your career, not necessarily just in the field decisions of whether to ski a particular slope, but in your career track, as you've moved from as a NOLS instructor on into forecasting, or from patrolling into your forecasting role? And then any recommendations for someone who's looking to get into an avalanche career?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to, like, state the facts is that you're going to be penniless and sleeping in the back of your truck for a number of years. But, but all of the continuing education that would be part and parcel of, building upon block after block, and these things are, getting, for example, maybe getting your master's degree in atmospheric science, or getting your PIN as an IFMGA guide, or spending years with artillery and the guns and explosives, at the ski areas. The classic thing about the journey is like you're doing this for the love of the life and the sort of the love of the aesthetics of it. And if it ends up as getting you to be an avalanche forecaster, an avalanche professional, all the better. But you're going to love the journey the whole way, and just sort of all the more sort of take that gamble, because you only go around once, and it's just a wonderful life that way, Don. Choose terrain that's not going to kill you. But the snowpack tends to disagree with your opinion of it. And it's the same way with taking chances with like relationships, or with like money, or any number of things, and I really find that to be profound. And maybe I'm trying to like learn my own lesson the most as I say it and think about choosing that it's not going to kill you if it happens to disagree with your opinion of it. Maybe it's even the back streets of Newark or something, Anyway, Don, this is a great project you have. I'm really thrilled to see not just the A roll, but the B roll and the C roll that you put together,